have to look at the whole society, the whole history, the whole context, the whole culture to understand where do I fit into this whole narrative.
South Korea has long been an ethnically homogeneous country. Its geographic location made the country vulnerable to external threats and brought Koreans together to fight the invaders off. Naturally, the us Koreans versus them the others narrative was formed. But with an increase in multicultural families, a new question has arisen about who gets to be part of the us. And here is Becky, who explores just this topic on what it means to be half Korean in Korea.
My name is Becky. I'm mixed Korean. I have an American father, a Korean mother. I'm a singer, a bookworm. I am too tall. My father is military, so we moved a lot around the US, and then for the past 9 years, I lived in Korea.
The Halfie Project is diverse in its nature. Not only does it cover various topics such as the history of Korea and mixed race, life as half Korean, and stereotypes in Korea, but it also comes in various formats such as interviews, podcasts, and mini documentaries. How then did she get started in this project? What were her inspirations and the creative process behind the project?
I faced a lot of discrimination in the office. I was the only non-Korean, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. And so I remember I was sitting at my computer, and I was like, am I the only person in this entire country who feels this way? So Halfie Project kind of started as like my own therapy, you know? Put it out in the universe. Maybe somebody will hear this and answer me. And the crazy thing is, people did.
I am half Korean, half Indian.
My dad's French, my mom's Korean.
We're half Korean and half Pakistani.
I'm half Korean and half Berber from Morocco.
I'm Australian, but my mother's Korean, dad's English.
And it turned into something much bigger than just me. I was looking up words for mixed blood first, and almost everything I found had a very negative connotation. Children of the dust or dirty blood. Even though the word itself maybe is not a negative thing, because of history or society's thinking, it became negative. I wanted something neutral. And there are those who argue Halfie Project isn't neutral. But when I looked it up, I couldn't see the word itself carrying a negative meaning in different languages. And the funny thing was too, in Korean, like Halfie Project, it becomes like the Happy Project. And I really liked that. The family that we had, mom's Korean, dad is German. Her son, who's mixed Korean, conducted the interview as the mother speaking about her experience going to Korea and being separated from her family here. And then their father, how like he was present while the son and mother were speaking to each other in Korean, and he can't understand it, but he was present. So it was so amazing to see like this family dynamic, and also to have their son ask these questions. I guess the hardest thing is the self-doubt. Am I the right person to say this? Do I have a right to ask these questions? For example, when I told somebody, I'm gonna do this project, they told me, why? Why are you gonna bring it open again? There are so many people, like maybe in Korea or mixed Koreans, who are so hurt by the history of mixed Koreans or the Korean War and GI babies, all of these things. Or you bring other mixed Koreans on camera to openly speak about themselves and their experiences. And you will have people who hate that or say very horrible things. And I think that's the hardest part, to not open myself to hateful comments, but I think what is the hardest is to think I am opening up that to other people.
The project has now become a major part of her life. Although it may have been a long and lonely journey in the beginning, the project has welcomed her many new changes, including a fiancé and feeling comfortable in her own skin, being mixed race in a homogeneous country.
At the beginning of Halfie Project, I was quite defensive and looking for reasons why Korean society in particular had done me wrong. It was a very victim mindset. But what Halfie Project forced me to do was to look beyond my own hurts, because I am just one person. I can't just look at myself in the context of the whole society and say, this is how society should be, looking at only myself. I have to look at the whole society, the whole history, the whole context, the whole culture, to understand where do I fit into this whole narrative. And that's what doing Halfie Project forced me to do, to read and to study and to ask and try to understand more. One of my teammates is now my fiance, Cedric Skaiseri. So he's Korean and he's Black, and he was our first interview that we released on the channel. I don't think there was ever a time where I was like, oh, I wish I wasn't mixed Korean. But maybe something that's connected to that is like, I wish I had parents who understood each other better, right? That could avoid a lot of conflict in your home, and conflict can affect you. And you could say, I wish I had parents who had the same cultural understanding or same language, then I could avoid that. Or I wish I didn't look a certain way so people didn't stare at me. You can't help how you look. It's how people stare at you that bothers you. So it's not necessarily, I wish I wasn't mixed Korean. That's a beautiful thing. It's more like, I wish society understood. You can't change being born mixed Korean. So I think if you have understanding why maybe people say certain things, or why people look at you a certain way, or why there are certain stereotypes attached to being mixed. If you try to understand that, it takes away the power and the hurt of that. Then you can be a little bit more confident in just being who you are. Honestly, that applies to everybody, not just mixed Koreans. Thank you, 감사합니다.